of term, didn't we? And we
Yeah.
did that for a purpose, so that they can see how they improve. Do you want me to send it to you? If you want me to send it to you, you've got to email me and say, please send it to me. And then you've got to put a little note saying, and this is how you do it. I'm not sure that I can remember how to do it. Okay, my darling. So, are we organised in terms of all the basics? So, you have 2 speeches, written and hacked around and refined. You're happy with them? Are they timed?
Yeah.
Yeah? And they're coming in under 4?
Yeah. But do they need to be under 330?
No. Why? What are they?
I know they were like 340.
340? That's fine, my darling. That's fine. Yeah.
Mhm.
And you've sorted what you're wearing?
Yep.
What about the audience for the architecture speech?
For the art audience, I was having a class of art students. That's why I mention here you're learning about many types of art: sculpting, painting, photography. But I'll be talking about one type of architecture, modern architecture.
So can we, rather than saying art students, which kind of gives the impression of sort of A-level or foundation year art.
Maybe like,
Oh yeah, year 7
Yeah.
art class,
Yeah.
something like that.
Yep.
Because you mustn't presume to lecture people older than you. Obviously, there are times when it happens, but I think in this instance,
Not
are
this
you an
one.
architect,
No.
Remy?
No.
Okay. Now, visual aids, you have got some?
yes, for the architecture speech.
Yeah,
I've got-
right. So this is where he's fallen down. Because how should they be presented?
I just hold them up.
No, just hold them up. That's not very good, is it? No. Where will they be? Where will you put them?
I don't know, on the table.
No. Will they stand up on the table?
No.
They will be on the flip chart. And so
Okay.
therefore, they need to be either on a piece of card or laminated. Because A4 sheets of paper will just fall off. Yeah?
Okay.
So can you laminate or can you put on card?
Yeah, I can put them on card.
Right. What would be best would be... This is really nice, isn't it? Is this the American one?
Yeah, the one World Trade Center.
My darling, put them on a piece of card, the same piece of card next to each other. Can you do that?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's
You've
possible.
got a piece of card,
Yeah.
A3?
Yeah, we've got A4 sizes, so there'll be 2 of them.
Okay, and then
Yeah.
put them on next to each other. That is really stunning, isn't it? Do you know... what's his name? Jawad Ahmed.
Yeah.
Is he your year?
And
He
well,
is.
he is,
He's
but
year
he's
8.
in school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Jawad lives in Westminster.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I know. How fab is that? And he did a speech on photography and he included that photograph that he had taken himself because he loves it on the skyline. It is really impressive, isn't it? This isn't Boris Johnson's, is it?
I don't
What's
think
this
so.
one?
Well, it's the 30 St. Mary's Axe, also known as the Gherkin.
Who's the
Gherkin.
architect for that?
What's Boris's headquarters?
The governors, you mean?
Is it what? You know, the Mayor of London.
Yeah, the mayor. Yeah.
What's Mayor of London's office?
He's a high flyer.
Who's a high flyer? Boris.
Boris, yeah, he's been to India recently.
He's amazing. He's an amazing man. Is he going to be
Next.
Yes, is he?
He's got full potential, full makings.
No, they won't take this. Oh, yes, they will. Oh, Sohab. I want you to find out. I can't find it because I'm...
Okay.
If that's Boris's building.
Yes.
Okay. He's very tall and handsome, your son. So he starts off well, doesn't he? Now, make sure that I can hear. Make sure that you're projecting well and you're opening your mouth. And you are not going to hold your note cards in front of yourself like that, are you?
No.
Good point. Yeah.
Okay. What we don't want is a barrier between us and the audience, him and the audience. Okay, so my darling, which one is this?
The architecture, modern architecture.
So this one, you must do what before you start?
I'll set up my visual aids.
Yes, you've got to set up your visual aids, but what do you have to say before you start? That's absolutely crucial.
Do I have to tell her my audience?
You do have to tell her your audience.
Yeah.
It might be a man. Architecture. Now, Rimi, that's really important when you're practicing, because if you don't, then she doesn't know who you're aiming for. I mean, Sohab's done a really good link with you're all learning about, but I'm going to talk to you about. He's accessed the audience with his vocabulary, and that will move into his body language because he'll be working with the whole audience, talking to them. But if you don't say, you lose 5 marks, just like that.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Which is pointless, isn't it?
Yep.
Is it already part of your speech, right?
Yes, it is.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's got it in there. Okay.
Just that.
Yes.
Architecture is the art and science of designing.
Right, so how
and
are you
erecting.
going to start this speech?
Slowly. Slowly.
You're going to start the speech by saying the title and the audience.
Oh, do I need to actually say it? Or?
Yes,
Yeah.
you
I thought
do
I just-
need to actually say it.
Okay.
So it's not there in the card, right? So you have to have that statement or sentence.
Put it in red across the top of the first page.
So I'm gonna just
Don't turn your foot over like that.
This is my speech on modern architecture. My target audience is a Year 7 art class.
Right, don't say a Year 7 art class. It's a Year 7 art class.
A Year 7 art class.
Good.
Architecture is the art and science of designing and erecting buildings and other physical structures. Architectural works are often considered works of art. Vitruvius, a Roman architect who is believed to have created the first ever architectural work, said that every good building should have A. Durability. It should be able to stand up robustly and remain in good condition. B. Utility. It should be useful and should function well for the people using it. And C. Beauty. It should be appealing to the eye and should delight people. You're learning about many types of art: sculpting, painting, photography, etc. But I'll be talking about one type of art: modern architecture. Modern architecture has several characteristics. It uses the concept of truth to materials, meaning the true nature of the material used in the making of the building should not be hidden. So, for instance, concrete should not be painted over, but instead shown to the public. Modern architecture also uses simplicity, clarity of forms, and gets rid of unnecessary detail and ornaments. Most modern architectural works follow the principle form follows function, which basically means the shape of the building should be based on its function or purpose. Modern architectural works also include a visual emphasis on horizontal and vertical lines. Another characteristic of modern architecture is the use of glass in modern houses and commercial buildings. Modern architecture had its beginnings in the late 19th century when two schools of thought emerged: Art Nouveau and Chicago School. It was mainly Chicago School that created a new form of architecture. William Jenney, Louis Sullivan, William Holabird, Martin Roche, Daniel Burnham and John Root were the men who established the principle form follows function for designing modern houses and skyscrapers. From then on, most modern architects fully utilised iron, steel and glass without painting over it, and rarely used ornaments and decorations. After the period of modern architecture, another style developed during the 1950s. This was known as postmodern architecture. This style brought back the ornamentation in building designs, where the form no longer followed the function and very complex designs were used. Neo-modern architecture is the reaction to the complexity of postmodern architecture. It seeks greater simplicity and, like modern architecture, gets rid of unnecessary detail. Modern architecture and neo-modern architecture share many basic characteristics. For example, they both reject postmodern decorations which try to imitate the past. Both modern and neo-modern buildings are designed to be monolithic and functional. Examples of neo-modern buildings are New York's One World Trade Center and London's 30 St Mary's Axe. To conclude, I foresee that in times to come, as more and more fascinating and imaginative human ideas take shape, they will push for further improvements in both building design and construction technology. This catch-up game between art and science will continue to make buildings around us more eco-friendly and more pleasing to the eye. Thank you.
359.9. Right, you've got to get rid of some. Okay? You have got to get rid of the whole sentence. Right, so you've written it out. Is this a way of helping you to learn it?
Yeah.
Right, it was too fast. You've got to relax and enjoy it. Why did you choose this subject?
Well, I have an interest in art and I thought architecture would be new.
Okay, so could you show a bit of excitement about it?
Okay.
You know, I want you to show some enjoyment about it, rather than just boom, 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 boom. So slow down, relax. Eyes in the page at the end of a sentence. Yeah. You mustn't do that. You've got to use the whole audience. Shouldn't, should not, should be, shouldn't.
Yeah, he once even tried to say, okay, can we just use mechanical engineering? You know, my subject.
Oh, right.
I'm a mechanical engineer. So I said, no, don't ever try to do that, because unless you are really, really enthusiastic and, you know, you're aware of the subject, really, because that's very boring subject, you know. Architecture is something that's visible to the eye of a layman, and he can appreciate the beauty of something which is, you know, lie on the exteriors. So,
but not once in here. It is meant to be an informative speech. That's his brief.
Correct, yeah.
An informative speech. But at the same time, I always say, do I not, put in what you like. So it would be great if you could say, the Gherkin in London is one of my favourite buildings.
Exactly.
Have you seen it?
No, not in real life.
You have seen it.
I might have been really small.
While we were in the catamaran, you know, I think last year or before that, you know, every time we get visitors from India, we make it a point to go to the Thames and, you know, just cross the Thames. And this is one of the landmarks that, you know, the conductors of the tour.
It obviously didn't excite you very much. Could you please pretend that it did, Sohab? I will send you this. Now, Art Nouveau. I'm not quite sure what you said.
Art Nouveau. It's like a French word.
The French don't pronounce it nouveau. It's nouveau. Okay. So that's a case in point of saying something without being afraid to say it, right? But you got it wrong, which is fine.
Which is okay, yeah.
Now you'll get it right.
Yeah.
So does it matter if you get things wrong? So speak up in class. It doesn't matter if you get it wrong. Right?
Yeah.
I know.
What's the correct pronunciation?
Nouveau.
Yes, well done, my dear. During the 1950s, now introduce it. I hate working with their writing. I can't work with their writing. It's rubbish. I can't work with it. During the 1950s, Can you say it, please?
During the 1950s.
Yes, make it interesting, introduce it. Complex. Complex. That's a really interesting word. Give it its full value. Use the emphasis there. To conclude, I do not believe for 1 minute that I allowed you to get away with that. I suspect that I crossed that out in your speech. To conclude, it is so boring. It is so English essay. It's very important when you're doing an English essay because you're rounding off, aren't you? It is awful in a speech. To conclude, what could you say instead?
Finally.
Finally? Or let me sum up. Something really relaxed and chatty. In the future, I foresee, why can't you just do that? Right? You've got to be much more relaxed and chatty. Oh. We'll get rid of that. Right. Now, you have got to cut 2 sentences because it was too fast. So the equivalent of 2 sentences. So you might take out a phrase in a sentence 3 or 4 times. You can do it how you like, but I want to know that it's done, okay? And you will, of course, have those visual aids on your board, on the flip chart. Oh, of course you won't. It's at the academy.
Yeah.
Okay, so it may well be, my darling, it may well be that there isn't a flip chart. There will be a table. They are supposed to guarantee a table and a chair. Now, if you get in there and find there isn't a table and there isn't a flip chart, what would you do?
And ask around.
That's very good of you. But suppose you couldn't have one.
So could I just leave the visual aids out then?
No, you've got a chair.
Oh, okay, so I can...
So, Hab,
lean the
do you do any drama classes?
Well, I just have my drama subject.
Right, so Hab, what can you do with a chair? It could be a backpack. You can climb on it. You can hide behind it, underneath it. Right? You can do anything with a chair as long as you believe it. So, if all you've got is a chair, you've got these firm, not floppy, haven't you? Because they're going to go on bits of card. So you use, do you see what I mean about floppy? Yeah. So you can see now why flop is no good. You pick them up. Good boy. Right, what's the next one, my darling?
Competitive sports.
Competitive sport. Remove the tie or just to that as well, right?
But if he stopped, why does he then say at the end, I don't think people should stop? Because you learn so much from it. Right, take out, where's the split one playing? People may learn how to support others and learn about fairness and good sportsmanship. Got that. When we grow older, do have some cons. Most of us naturally good. Team sports. This was nicely done here. Friendly competitions are very useful for young children. When we grow older, we'll have to face many competitions in school, getting into university, getting a job, etc. Friendly competitions allow us to understand how to cope and to understand allow us to understand how to cope in a competition, and also to understand that we must try hard to succeed. I played many sports. It was too long, I don't know, it's 4:04. My teammates. Cut that. I know you think that's funny, but it doesn't quite work. It's an aside. competitive sports have been harmful to me. I'm wondering whether that can't come out completely. I don't think any of us should stop playing competitive sports just to avoid those obstacles, because if we do, we'll miss out on many lessons. We'll miss out on many lessons. Now, my advice to you is to take that out, okay, and to go through. There were some nice moments in that, some nice delivery in that. I don't think you were using the whole audience.
Okay.
That's what I want you to practice now, okay? But there was some nice voice work in that, wasn't there?
So whole audience is like, he should be turning his head around a bit.
Yeah, and looking much more
wider.
At the moment, he was too engaged in the page in that one. So you need to practice it a few more times and just be more relaxed and more familiar and take your time. It will be much more effective practice if you slow down, relax, enjoy giving your opinion on this. Okay?
Okay.
Right. Are you happy?
Yep.
Yep.
You happy? Sure.
Yep.
Sure. No comments? Should ask something.
Yeah, I think he's doing fine.
All right. Good.
I think he's doing well. You can email me if you've got any worries, any concerns.
Can you go alone to LAMDA Academy, or do I have to drop you there? That's a question, right? That's a valid question. Can I just travel there? Can I? Well, is there a car park available there? So.
I don't know.
Right. Okay.
I've never been.
And you won't
Anyone
be there
I
available
won't
at
be there.
that time,
No.
right? So.
Everyone tells me it's very easy to find. It's very nice when you get there. It's quite straightforward. We've had sixth form boys go there and travel on their own by train, but usually parents.
Okay. Should accompany. Yeah. Right.
16-year-olds. How old is Ritvik? They're not 16, are they? No, they're not 15 year 10.
So Ritvik and Suhaib are like back to back, right? It's 10 o'clock for Suhaib and 10:15 for
They're
him.
all together, all of them. Toby, Ritvik, Sohab, Karthik and Johnson.
So does it mean that he's strictly 15 minutes? When if the next man is 10:15? Or there are two teachers or two separate examiners?
Oh, I see. No, they're obviously two examiners.
Two examiners, right, okay.
Examiners, yeah.
Right, so... Yeah.
So...
The receptionist gave me this form. Is this the correct form? Yeah.
No,
That's an enrollment form.
that's an enrolment form. Your LAMDA
So
examination.
I asked for them and they were unsure about what I was talking about.
Sohab, they've got an envelope, a brown envelope with all the names on it, examination report forms. Did you ask for an examination report form?
I asked for a LAMDA examination report form.
Why didn't you explain what you needed? To
I
go
told
to
them
the
that.
academy, to take your exam.
And if you don't have one, then how would they let you in? Or how would they let you take the exam?
Oh.